Today, I'm going to talk about visual design elements and visual design principles. So let's get started with the elements. There are 7 different types. There's line, color, value, shape, form, space, and texture. So let's start off with point. It's the most basic element. It has position, but no dimension. It's going to signal out a very spot in a space. The next, it will be lines. We have 4 different types: horizontal lines, vertical lines, diagonal lines, and curved lines. They can be used to define boundaries, indicate volume, give perspective to something, give texture, or give movement, show movement. First, it will have is our vertical lines. Vertical lines represent dignity, formality, stability. As you can see here, we have these big, tall, strong skyscraper buildings, and these all, as you can see, have the vertical lines. Next, we have horizontal lines. They represent calm, peace. If you're driving down Route 96 and you're heading out toward Eastview Mall, if you look at some of the buildings around there, especially if you look off as you're going toward Eastview, on the left side, you're going to see long buildings. They're built into the countryside where you have trees, and they represent calm and peace. And they were purposely put there. They're not high buildings. They're only a few stories high, but they represent the peace and calm and relaxation of being out in the country. Next, we have diagonal lines. And you can see here with the lower picture, they give you that sense of that you're moving into the city. You're actually going into the picture. So they give you that sense of movement. And the last one is curved lines, represent freedom and smooth moving. And you can kind of see that you kind of have that in that spiral staircase that's going up and slowly going up. Next, we have color. We have hues, saturation, value. Colors could mean different things. We have warm colors and cold colors. Warm are represented by our reds, our oranges, and yellows. And cool colors are our blues, our purples, our greens, kind of the nature colors. Colors can immediately have a profound effect. As you can see these pictures, things that pop out. Just blue, kind of blue everywhere, but boom, on the top picture, our pots are popping out. On the bottom picture, it's signaling out the color of the red butterfly compared to all the blue ones. Color has immediate profound effects on our design. As you can see, things are popping out. We have the warm colors on top, and you can see what's in the shade is probably a little bit cooler. The mountains are a little bit cooler than the ones up in the sun. Next, we have value. Okay, we have dark, mid-range, and light. And they can give us that sense of 3D. As you can look at this picture very closely, the windows off on the right side of the picture, you can kind of see that they're inset because of the color and the darkness. And then if you look over on the left side, you can see that there's those balconies, and you can see the doorways, because they're a little darker, are actually pushed inside. So they give you that sense of 3D or that sense of depth. Next, we have shape. We have our geometric shapes. We have our mechanical shapes, and we have our organic shapes. Okay, and here you can kind of see that we have some simple shapes. You see the circles that we have in there, and then we kind of see those organic shapes, those nice, smooth, flowing shapes that we have in there. Form is basically 3D. It's different than shape. Shape is 2D. Form is something in 3D. It's implying a 3D shape. And as you can see these images here, because of their shading or something like that, it gives you that sense of 3D. And here's a good example. These are pyramids, but we can tell, hey, these are 3D forms. Space, we have 2 different types: negative space, positive space. So in here, when you're looking at this disc, and actually you're looking at the top picture, all that light color around the pink disc, that's all considered negative space. The positive space is actually that pink disc itself. And again, here you go. You can see evidence of this. We have something that's opened versus cluttered. Open would be what we see right down through the middle of that, and then clutter is what we kind of see around the outside. We really don't know what's going on. It's just a lot going on. It's kind of fuzzy, but it's all cramped and put out there. Texture, smooth, rough. We can kind of see from the top picture, the white is kind of really smooth looking, and then we have that rough interior of the concrete. And same thing down below, we kind of have those light brown colors, and it's kind of saying, hey, this is kind of smooth looking. Where smooth will reflect the lights, the rough will absorb the light. And here's a couple more examples of smooth and rough. And of course, they throw in fluffy for us. Those were our 7 elements. Now we have our design principles. We have balance, emphasis, contrast, rhythm, proportion, unity, and economy. Each one of these will have subcategories, as you see when we go through these. So let's start off with balance. Balance, we have 3 different types. We have symmetrical or formal balance, asymmetrical, which is informal, and then we have radial. Radial is be the easiest one I think that you'll see, and same thing with symmetrical. Asymmetrical, you're going to kind of struggle with a little bit. This picture right here is showing us a simple symmetric or formal, where one thing on one side is equal to one on the other. So let's get started. So here's our symmetrical. Okay, we have very formal balance. What you see on the left is the same as what you see on the right. So we're taking a picture, whatever it is, and just splitting it down the middle. Whether we're splitting it vertically or horizontally, it doesn't matter. Depends on the picture. Both these are showing that we're splitting it vertically right down the middle. Here we have asymmetrical. Basically, we're taking this picture, and on the top picture, we're going to use the road that's going down there. And we're basically taking this picture and splitting it into two. Okay, we're splitting it down the middle, and you can see we have crops on one side and we have crops on the other side. They're not exactly the same. This is what they call asymmetrical. Same thing with the picture down below. We're splitting. We have a center line. We're splitting it in half, and it looks like it's balanced from one side to the other. Is it exactly the same? No, but it's balanced. Here's a good one example of radial. I think the best one would be the tire below, where everything's starting off with a center point and going outward, and you can see that it's going out. So you always have a center point that you're focused on, and everything kind of radiates out from that one center point. Next, we have emphasis, something that's going to draw our eye to one specific thing. So if you look at this picture, when you look at it real quickly, your eye is drawn right to that drop. Again, emphasis. Now, next time you get in a car, you're going to look and see. But your seatbelts, why? Because they want to know right where you got to plug it in. Here it is. Okay, we have a black interior, but boom, this is where you got to plug your seatbelt in. So next time you get in and you look at your seatbelt, boom, let's see if you see that red little area where you got to plug it into. Again, some more contrast. You know, we have the red chair up above, and everything else is kind of a soft color. The picture below, contrast, we got the dark brown brick building below, and then we have the glass building up above it. And of course, we got the old-fashioned typewriter in the yellow, and we have the brand new computer up on top in the blue. Again, contrast, this is pulling our attention. So what are we actually looking at? Are we looking at the car? No, we're looking at the engine and the drivetrain and the wheels on this car. We're not really worried about the rest of the car. You can kind of, if you look carefully, you can see the seats and everything else in it. But we're actually, our attention is drawn because of contrast right to that engine and the wheels. Rhythm, we have 4 different types: regular, random, gradated, and graduated. So let's take a look at those. Regular rhythm, yes, we have a pattern that you're going to see. It's easy to see repeated over and over and over. The top picture, we have those fleur-de-lis up on top. We have probably gargoyles underneath there, but we have the same pattern. Again, with the bottom picture, pavers or bricks, whatever they are, tiles, it's the same pattern over and over and over. It's something that's going to repeat and be consistent. Random rhythm, and this one, hey, we have the dots up above. Yes, we have a pattern. It's those dots that we're using. The picture below, yes, it is random rhythm. We have those dark images of the pigeons down below. They're all over the place, but it's what they call a random rhythm. Gradated rhythm, it's basically going from large to small, small to large. Basically, that's it. And graduated rhythm, we're going from something that's very condensed down to something very narrow or small. As you can see over on the left side, we have a lot of stars. We still have stars, but on the right side, we're getting down to just one. So we're going from a lot of elements down to a small amount of elements. Proportion, obviously, that's a pretty easy one. One size compared to another. Unity, the same design element. So up above, we have those windows, okay? The same design element going back and forth. On the bottom, when you see those gates, we have the same design elements. What you're actually looking on those are the posts. That is the unity. We have the posts, even though we have a fence, then a green wall, and then a fence, and then a solid wall. The unity is in the consistent pattern is those columns that are in there. Economy, more is less. That's all you have to know. They want very little. So in this one, more is less. I have 3 colors: black, red, white. Very few of each. I don't have a lot going on. The F isn't a blue color. It's white. I could have a lot of different colors, but this is what they call economy. Very minimal. And you'll see from the next picture, same thing, economy. Very, very minimal happening in there. There's nothing going on in the background. I have very simple colors: black, grays, reds. Boom. Very, very minimal. And that is it on design principles and elements.